And the point being is that in 2011, even with the tax increase, we will have less money to use in the general fund than we did in 2010. So we have to raise taxes simply to cover what the state is not giving us, and we're reducing our expenses. So Council, the market value homestead credit would have increased it by 3.54%. We would have had to decrease that, as Gail said. There's a $94 break in that out of the $45 million budget. In our mind, you've talked about possibly reducing the 5% levy increase. A reduction in the levy of 0.25% to 4.75 would reduce the budget by $40,000. We're suggesting that come from that contingency allocation of $122,000. Again, stepping along, a half, giving it to 4.5 would be 80, and 0.75 would be 120,000. Should you choose to reduce the levy from 5 to 4%, you would take all of the contingency plus an additional 38,000, and then we're suggesting going right back to the front page and finding 38,000 from this list. Whoops, wrong list. I had it and it worked perfect. Now that list, you may want to find 38,000 off that list, or cut more from this list and keep money in the contingency. So, Council, with that, that's a brief summary of our 7 months worth of work that we've done on the budget, what's presented there, and Ms. Bowman and I and Mr. Antonin are certainly available for questions of the Council.
Council have any questions of any of the staff? All right. So we'll go ahead then and have the public hearing portion of the meeting. And so I have a list that has been turned into me. I did notice 1 or 2 people maybe came in after the list had been brought forward, and so we'll ask if there are other people who wish to speak also. And so we will open our public hearing. It is 7:35, and so I've opened the public hearing. And you can come up and tell us what it is you are here to tell us about your thoughts about taxes, and we will listen intently. So the first person, and I might go with first names here so I don't butcher up last names too bad, but the first name is on the list is Benjamin. Benjamin here?
Mr.
Good
Mayor,
evening.
Council members. My name is Benjamin Maduka. My address is 2625 South Lawn Drive. And I came because I looked at this proposed budget online and saw the increases. And I looked at my tax assessment. My value hasn't changed since 2009. But I recently tried to refinance my home and found out the value lost about $50,000. So with the increase that you have based on median income, median sales price of $195,000, I'm wondering how you came about that. Was it based on what the assessors are telling us, or the guys that sell the homes, what they're telling us that the values are down? And could we afford to pay that if the value is down as they are telling us? That's one of my issues. And I noticed also in the budget that you added the taste of Maplewood, which we didn't have this year. We didn't have it this year. And I don't think we were that in pain because we lost it. And I'm also seeing a legal contingency of $135,000. I'm wondering what that is about.
Okay.
I will take a seat and listen to the
All right, and so stay there for just a moment.
Okay.
So, first of all, could we answer the question of how do we come up with the median value home number that we use?
Mayor, the Ramsey County is the one who goes out and places assessment values on homes. Median value home means that in the city of Maplewood, there are just as many homes above that number as there are below that number. It's not an average value home, it's a median value home. So they take all the values of all the properties in Maplewood and find the one that's right in the middle. It all comes from the assessor's office at Ramsey County. We have nothing to do with the assessment values.
Yeah, I understand that. What I'm really getting at is, if all of us who have tried to refinance their home and found out the value is down, appeal the assessor estimate of our homes, what will happen? Would you be able to get the funds you need to run the city?
Our city tax rate is based on the total local taxable value. So the taxable value, if yours went down, our taxable value would go down, which would make our city tax rate a little bit higher. We'll still get the same amount of money as revenue in the city. It's just our tax rate will change based on what that total local taxable value is of all the properties in Maplewood. It's complicated.
So we set an amount of money that we need to collect from the citizens through property taxes to operate the city. And so that amount of money is the same, you know, regardless of what people's houses are valued at. We still need this amount of money to operate the city. And so, you know, all that, in what Gail is saying, is all that happens, and the equation is that if homes are valued at less, it just means instead of us being at a 37% tax rate, we're maybe at a 38% tax rate because the value of the property is less. And so the percentage goes up because you're paying a higher percentage for the value of your home. And so, I don't know if that answers your question, but I mean, the levy does not, and the amount that we set does not directly reflect on the value of the property in the city.
Okay. All right. I had the two other questions. What was the legal contingency that we have that we are planning for in 2011? We didn't have any in the last 4 years.
Mr. Antonin will answer that question.
I believe you're referring to the deductible for the...
no, he's talking about the $135,000 contingency that we have.
Oh, the contingency. I thought, oh, okay. Yeah, the council hasn't had a council contingency for the last few years, and so it's an item that I felt that was necessary. Our reserves are by the council's policy at 35%. In the last few years, the reserves have been a little bit higher, into the 36, 38%. This year, we're budgeting right at the 35%. So the contingency is an amount of money that is available, as you saw through the listing of things, for unexpected expenses. Now, some of the lists you saw were unfulfilled expenses, and I suppose they could be classified as unexpected also. But it seems to me that the council needs to have some discretionary money available to meet those unexpected needs, rather than going into and reducing the amount of money we have for the reserves, which is also used for our cash flow.
I'm going to have a little bit more into that. John, were you going to address that particular part of it?
Well, I certainly can. I think there are a couple of different things called contingencies, and so there might be a little bit of confusion. You were asking about a legal contingency?
Yes.
I think that is related to a specific land use case that the city is involved in, where we have to shoulder a large portion of the legal expenses to defend the city and to enforce the law. And so we won't actually be having to pay that bill until this multi-year lawsuit comes to a conclusion. And So we need to start setting aside money for it so that we don't get handed the bill and suddenly have it as a shock in the system, since we know that it's going to cost money regardless of what the outcome of the whole case is.
So, just to capsulize that, we're being sued. It's a big lawsuit. And
Well,
so
that's what I thought. That's why I
we're-
was asking.
We're putting money away, so eventually we'll be able to pay for it.
Right. And, of course, we believe that we're in the right and that we'll be vindicated, but that doesn't help with the legal bills on a very technical, expensive lawsuit that we taxpayers will have to pay for, even if everything goes for us.
So this is not something that will be covered by insurance?
Well,
This is
insurance-
after what is
Yeah,
covered by insurance.
Insurance shoulders the vast, vast majority of the cost. But there are portions that we have to cover.
There's another complicated formula.
You had another question in there.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have that taste of maple this year, but
We did.
we did.
It was in August.
It was not according to the budget.
Yep. Go ahead.
The budget shows nothing, no expenditure for that this year. That's what I'm saying, and I see 60,000 planned for 2011. I'm wondering, did we get a donation from somewhere? Or?
So just information about the budgeting for Taste of Maplewood?
Yeah.
Well, so if you stay for the entire meeting, I'm sure you'll hear some discussion about that as we move forward.
Okay.
And so we'll talk more about it as the meeting goes on.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Frank?
I'm Frank Weggeiner. I live on 1252 Court. And I was debating about my taxes. I moved in 1995. My taxes exactly doubled from 1995. Now, this year, my taxes last year were $2,334. This year, they're $2,460, which is a $126 increase. My house value went down to $180 from $186. Why is my valuation going down and my taxes going up?
So we'll try to answer that question, but first, Frank?
Yes.
First of all, we should talk about the city's portion, because that's the portion that is directly related to what we're doing. You're talking about the total amount, which includes the county and the school district and the watershed district, right?
Yes.
You understand that?
I understand that part of it, yes.
Okay. And so probably around $800 or $500, $800 of that is the city taxes?
Yes.
Do you have your tax statement in front of you? Is that what you're reading off of?
Yes, I have it right here.
And so what portion of that is the city taxes?
Well, I really don't know what you mean by that.
Bring it up here and I'll show you. So, right here, Maplewood.
Yeah.
So this is the amount of tax that we're talking about here. Last year, you paid $634. This year, you're paying $674. So you had an increase of $40 from the city.
I see.
Okay?
Okay.
And so Ramsey County, you had a bigger increase. You have the school district, and you have various metropolitan taxing districts, and everybody else who can charge you taxes too. But
So when will this end?
your city taxes went up $40. So you have to go back to the podium so you can be on the microphone, okay?
When is this going to end? I'm a senior citizen, and I'm on a fixed income. So, all right, Social Security didn't raise no Social Security this year. Our money in the bank, we're paying the bank to take our money. That's about the amount of interest we're getting out of it. When is a poor old person going to suddenly be able to live?
That's an excellent question, and I don't know that he's going to give you that answer, but Mr. Nephew, did you have a response to
Everything
Frank?
going up,
Or no?
and we're getting less. Now, there should be a little bit of something there.
I have something I would say, but I'm not sure if you want to respond directly to his
Sure,
questions.
I could. The first general comment, because the previous speaker also had some question on this, and Will spoke about this, it's really important